Roads from Chicago to Kankakee are clogged with drifted snow and stalled vehicles. Buses and their passengers were marooned overnight on roads south of Beecher and Sauk Village. Emergency shelter was offered at the Beecher Community Hall and at the Sauk Village Fire Station. Residents in Beecher collected blankets for stranded motorists. Because of the heavy snow, the post office announced there will be no mail delivery in the area today. Henry W. McGee, Chicago postmaster, and Donald Swanson, regional post office director, said the storm made delivery of mail impossible. The announcement this morning said postal employees should heed the warnings of city, county, and state officials and remain at home. Telephone customers are asked to limit their calls to emergencies. Illinois Bell asked that no one make calls unless they're absolutely necessary. Telephone company management employees were asked to report to their nearest Illinois Bell offices for emergency assistance. If you have to make a call, wait for a dial tone. It'll be delayed. A state of emergency has been declared at Gary on the heels of the snowstorm. One unofficial report listed Gary with 24 inches of snow on the ground and drifts 15 feet high. Hundreds of schools in Indiana are closed. Hundreds of motorists were stranded overnight in that area. South Bend had 16 inches of snow on the ground this morning, with more coming this afternoon. Power lines were down also during the night in many localities of northwestern Indiana, and police said all roads in northwestern Indiana are impassable. We'll have more weather information after this message.
Bravo Company isn't your kind of company. Not by a long shot. There's no receptionist, no coffee breaks, not even a telephone. Just 200 men of Company B. Their job? Seek out and destroy the enemy. Deep in the Vietnam jungle. 10,000 miles from home, eating 3 meals a day, sometimes sleeping in foxholes when they can. The men of Bravo Company are doing a lot to keep America free, and they're doing one more thing, too. Most of them buy United States savings bonds every payday. Bravo Company, American fighting men who buy U.S. savings bonds where they work. How many people in your company buy savings bonds?
Reminder once again, a hazardous driving warning in the south suburban area. All roads are impassable. All schools and most stores and factories are closed. A cold wave warning for tonight. This afternoon, continued serious drifting with strong northwesterly winds, but conditions beginning to improve a little. Temperatures steady or falling. Tonight, a cold wave and partly cloudy, with a low tonight 0 to 5 above. For tomorrow, partly cloudy, a high tomorrow in the 20s. The outlook for Sunday, partly cloudy and a little warmer. Northwesterly winds at 25 to 35 miles an hour, diminishing slowly this afternoon or this evening, becoming northwesterly 10 to 15 by tomorrow morning and variable by tomorrow afternoon. Currently 24 degrees. That's news. Bill Berwin reporting.
You have just heard an up-to-the-minute report of all the latest news from the combined news facilities of WCGO and WTAS FM. Brought to you in part by the Girardi Funeral Home, 2520 Chicago Road in Chicago Heights.
And now a sports report. First of all, a reminder that almost all sports activities have been canceled in the South Suburban region. The Rich East Homewood Flossmoor game, originally scheduled for tonight, will be played next Saturday, February 4th. And the game will be played at Homewood Flossmoor. That game was also to have been broadcast by WTAS and, of course, will not be. The Bloom Eisenhower game scheduled for tonight has been canceled. And this game, of course, will have to be rescheduled as it is a league game. We talked to Frank Buchtel, the athletic director at Bloom Township High School, and he informed us that he would let us know Monday morning. The possible date for the replay of that game would be Monday or Tuesday evening, and we will be in touch with Bloom High School to give you news on that. The Crete-Bradley game, which was to have been played tonight, has been canceled, and that game was to have been played at Bradley. All other sports activities at Crete have been canceled. As you may know by now, the Crete Warrior Dome has collapsed, and so there will be no sports activities at Crete. Also, the Rich High Schools have informed us that there will be no sports activities. There have been some wrestling events that were supposed to have taken place at the Rich East High School, and that has also been canceled. The Crete Marion game scheduled for tomorrow night has been canceled, and if there are any of the athletic directors from any of these schools involved listening in, or any of our area schools, we would appreciate if they would let us know if some of the other tomorrow evening games have been canceled. So that's the sports report. Pete Strassen reporting.
The time is 12:16, and this is WCGO Radio, 1600 on your dial in Chicago Heights, Illinois.
One of the most preferred new home plans today is called the Raised Ranch, with 2 complete living levels for your family. For the very latest in raised ranches, you'll want to see the Burnside's Sherwood model at Glenwood Manor, 183rd and Halstead.
This is WCGO 1600 on your dial, Chicago Heights, Illinois, and WTAS 102.3 on your FM stereo dial, Crete, Illinois, with studios and transmitter in Beecher, Illinois. Well, for a Friday night dinner that's delicious and reasonable, take the family to Mattis Restaurant in Chicago Heights. Order Mattis Jumbo Shrimp Dinner. Giant shrimp from the blue waters of the Gulf, deep fried to a fluffy golden brown and served with French fried potatoes and garden fresh salad. That's just $1.75. Or tender, delicious perch served with French fried potatoes, coleslaw, tartar sauce, and Italian bread, only $1.15. So dine out every Friday at Mattis Restaurant, that's Chicago Road and Main Street in Chicago Heights.
This up-to-the-minute report of all the latest news was brought to you from the combined news facilities of WCGO and WTAS-FM, with national and international news from the wires of Associated Press and voice reports from United Press International.
Also, these warnings: if you have a gas space heater in your home that is vented to the outside, be sure to check outside. Make sure that the vent is free from drifting snow. The same is to be done for a gas dryer. These warnings, by the way, on fire plugs come from both Park Forest and Chicago Heights. Only emergency traffic is being accepted on 26th Street between Chicago Heights and Park Forest. 26th Street at this time is actually wide enough to accept only one vehicle at a time. Traffic could clog the roadway. The Cook County Sheriff's Police has had helicopters in the air all day to help stranded residents. In South Holland, a young boy identified by police as Brent Marlowe of 15945 State in South Holland. He was airlifted from the area and rushed to Engels Memorial Hospital in Harvey, possibly suffering from dehydration. At this time, he's reported in fair condition. The 3 helicopters operated by Cook County Sheriff's Department pilots also evacuated a woman from the East Chicago Heights area. She was suffering from severe frostbite and was airlifted to a hospital. 14 persons stranded at the school at Balmer Road and Ridgeland Avenue received emergency supplies from a Sheriff's Police helicopter, too. The governor has ordered the use of National Guard helicopters and half-tracks to aid stranded persons. The Civil Defense Director in Chicago Heights declared a semi-state of emergency, while at the same time the governor's office issued a statement saying that civil defense authorities have provided emergency generators for water supply pumps, hospitals, and nursing homes in many areas. Since we've mentioned water, we should tell you this: for safety's sake, it might be wise to take some empty jars or bottles and put water in them and store them in your refrigerator overnight, in case pipes freeze or water supplies are damaged. Fire departments suggest you fill your bathtubs with water in case a fire breaks out in your home. Hospitals have entered pleas for extra help. Edmund Lawler, administrator of Oak Forest Hospital at 159th and Cicero, has appealed to area residents within walking distance to help at the hospital. Presently, there are only 300 of the 1,200 normally at the hospital on duty. At St. James Hospital, Sister Georgette said that all nurses' aides and volunteer registered nurses that could come to the hospital should do so. Most of the personnel on duty at the hospital at this time have been there for 2 days. Only emergency surgery is being handled since there are only 4 doctors available. In Lansing, some 700 travelers are stranded there. They've been taken well care of, though. Some have been housed at one of the churches, the others at the Lands Theater. They're watching movie films. A 59-year-old Calumet City man was found dead this morning near his abandoned auto. He was found on the Illinois Tollway in South Holland. The man was identified as Joseph Plagua of 148 116th Street. Police said Plagua apparently froze to death after he collapsed. On Chicago's west side, massive looting has added to the plight of the city, virtually paralyzed by 2 feet of snow. With traffic at a standstill, the looters turned out in force in the section that was the scene of violent disorders that brought out the National Guard this summer. Our temperature stands at 22 degrees. That's it for the news. Don Clark reporting.
This up-to-the-minute report of all the latest news was brought to you from the combined news facilities of WCGO and WTAS FM.